board members here tonight, starting from my left, Margaret Collins, Bridget Donzi, Larry Rossino, Lorene Lasoro, Eileen Shug, and Bob Roth. Eileen and Bob have joined us this year. Bob rejoined us, I guess, right? After a few years of being away. And I'd also like to mention that we have the month before last we adopted a form for use during public comment session that basically is the form the county legislature uses at their meetings. Forms are on the table there. If you wish to speak or comment on the subject tonight, please fill out the form and place it in the tray that's there on the table. And then it will be retrieved and will be called in order the form being submitted so that we can make sure everybody gets heard and everybody gets a chance to say what they need to say. Seems to be working, and we continue with it. Everybody here has the opportunity to review the agenda. It's on the table for you to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Moved by Margaret, second by Lou. Any comments? Any additions, subtractions? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Right, the first item on the agenda tonight is actually the election of the district board officers. This is our annual reorganization meeting. The officers on the board, the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary are elected by the board on an annual basis. They serve for 1 year. At the last board meeting, I made it be known that unless something significant developed or changed, that this would be the end of my term as the chair. There have been some new developments, so if the board chooses, and I'd be happy if somebody wanted to step up and do this, but if the board chooses, I would agree to stay on for at least a few more months so that there's an orderly transition at the very least, and then provided with the caveat that we get enough people on the board to divvy up the workload that exists here until such time as at least until such time as the county is able to move forward on the request that we made regarding an administrative position here, a part-time administrative position. So just keep that in mind, but it would not break my heart if somebody else wanted to raise their hand over here and step up to the plate, okay? What I don't want to do is I don't want to give anybody the impression that I would just dump everything on everybody. I would, kind of work through each of these items so that, we all have something to do. We also have some other committees that have been very helpful over the past couple of years in handling some of the workload. My friend Molly Whitman has been doing the permits, as well as several people have been pitching in doing the CSLAP program. So hopefully they'll agree to continue with that this year. So with that, we'll start with the secretary. If there's a nomination for secretary.
Can I make a nomination?
I think Margaret's done a wonderful job, and
Yeah.
I'd like to thank her for all her efforts.
Are you nominating Margaret?
Well, I would like to nominate Bridget.
we have a second on either one of those?
Second.
Well, we have a we have Bridget nominating Margaret, Margaret nominating Bridget.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I'll second for Margaret.
okay, we have a second from Bridget. Margaret can second it. Not sure if you made a motion.
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, no one else agrees with you.
Are you willing to do it? That's the question. We'll try to simplify things.
Yes.
Because they're supposed to, the county's supposed to go through the.
Yeah. I'll explain it. One of the things that we talked about with the county was that how we could take the burden off of the secretary a little bit. Margaret's been on the board for 19 years and has been the secretary for, what, 25? Or it just feels that way. One of the things that the commissioner suggested is that we record the meetings and that they could have a clerical person at Orange County actually transcribe the minutes, etc. It comes with a cost, okay? And I would estimate the cost to be well in excess of $100 a month, because you're going to be paying this person to sit there and listen to everything that went on and try to take notes and minutes on it and then transcribe them and send them over, that kind of thing. So there's a price on everything, okay? So that's something that we can consider, all right? But I mean, we've been fortunate that Margaret has agreed to do this in the past, and the county also made some suggestions as to how, and I talked to Margaret about how some of the minutes could be simplified and maybe take some of the burden away that way. So it's up to you, Margaret. I mean, it's if you really, don't be on the spot. I mean,
Right.
we'll do something if we have to.
Well, we'll see, we'll try it the new way.
Okay.
Another different process.
Well, I appreciate that. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Margaret? Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
That brings up the vice chair. Lou has been our vice chairman for the last couple of years, maybe more than a couple. And the question for you is, are you interested in continuing, or your choice?
I'm sorry, I'm a little deaf tonight.
Oh, you're the vice chairman
Yeah.
currently, and since you didn't hear what we said, you're the vice chairman again.
That's my son.
No, in all seriousness, I mean, it's
Would you like it?
it's up to you if you want to continue with it. I would nominate you, but
I'll consider it.
Is he willing to consider an advancement?
Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry about that. I had told I can't hear anything.
I want to know if you would consider advancement.
Advancement?
Yeah.
Yes.
A promotion.
No.
I think Doris heard that one, right?
Then I won't run.
Okay, well, do we have a nomination?
Yeah, I'll nominate you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there anybody else interested in assuming that position? Okay, with that, I will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay. Congratulations, Lou.
I heard that.
And the next item is, the next position is the chair.
I nominate Larry for a short time, who wants to be chair. And we
I'll
can
second.
revisit it.
Yes, we'll revisit it next December. I'll second that.
Anybody else? guess we'll vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll abstain, but again, it's with the condition that we get some things delegated to. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the December 2015 meeting. The only correction I had is the caveat in there that unless something changed,
Right.
significant changes. And I'll explain what that really is. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we'll get Bob on the email list, and Eileen, I think, Doreen forwarded it over to Eileen. Okay, the next item is kind of what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and that's looking at the current year's budget, just a quick overview, as well as setting the stage for the next year's budget request. And items 5 and 6 are pretty much the same as they were on the January of 2015 agenda, for those of you who were here. I'll give you some basic round numbers on. Well, this is just some quick. I can send you these, Bob. Right?
Well, it's hard to discuss it without having a copy of it.
Well, on the 2016 budget, there really isn't anything to discuss because it's been adopted by the county legislature. Okay? And on the 2017 budget, we have to still develop it, so there's really nothing that can be copied at this point.
What are you discussing?
I'm going to give you the bottom line numbers as to what was adopted by the county, right? And we're not going to go line by line on any of this stuff. So the budget request that was submitted to the county back last May by this board was massaged. It was the operation and maintenance budget was $250,173. That was distributed. That information was distributed by email to the community and disseminated and explained that the county generally makes adjustments to that. This is the first time that the county actually made an adjustment that was slightly downward. Right? Actually, I'm sorry, that 250,173 was actually the 2015 budget that was adopted by the county. The 2016 budget request was $250,049, so it was $125 less than the previous year. I had several meetings with the budget people at the county, with the fiscal manager and others, and there were adjustments made, and this is the first time we were pretty much on target. They changed the 250,049 down to 249,958. So we did pretty good as far as the target, and that's what was adopted by the county as the O&M budget for this district. The capital budget had been $150,000, which was mostly dedicated to the dam project to go into reserve. It went for bond payments, current bond payments, and reserve. And then that was in 2015. 2016, that was increased to by $75,000 to $225 total. Which again, that was all disseminated back middle of the year when all this was done. The county adopted that. That money is in there, as has been explained, to gradually increase the rate and build a cushion fund for the dam project. And we're getting closer and closer to what the ultimate payment will actually be. Right?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said that we're still paying on an old bond?
No. The old bond from the original project was paid off several years ago.
Right.
there was a new bond that was floated a few years ago that, to pay for engineering on the dam, okay?
We're making payments on
Has
that
been, in
now.
the last several years, payments have been made on that to the tune of, round numbers, about 18,000 a year, okay?
That's the kind of data I was kind of looking for when I asked this question.
Say again?
I said, that's the kind of data I was looking for. We didn't-
Okay, again, all of that actually has, well, let me do this, right? To get you up to speed, maybe we could sit and talk one-on-one, but all of this has actually been disseminated by email over the past couple of years, so rather than rehash it now, let's.
No, I'm not rehashing, I
We'll do it all.
just to keep my mind and.
Yeah, it's good, and maybe for you and maybe Eileen, we could sit and have a little roundtable discussion and bring you up to date on that.
It's important. It's important that
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
those things.
Okay, so, again, this is where we were. Now, this year, for the first time, let me say this. Last year, when it came to the budget, the county made an error and actually included the bond payments both in the O&M and the capital budget. So there was about, I don't know, round numbers, a $20 charge in the O&M budget that shouldn't have been there. But it's not that the money went away, it just got rolled into reserve funds. That was supposed to be taken care of this year, and it was, right? That was part of the budget discussions. And the other thing that I was adamant about was that we start applying some of the prior year's surpluses to offset the tax rate, so we plow some of this back in. And $15,000 was supposed to be plowed back in, and the amount raised by taxes was supposed, instead of $249,958, was supposed to be $234,958. Unfortunately, it went through the entire budget process, went through the legislative process, was approved in December by the county legislature as part of the budget, and it didn't get implemented into the tax bill. So the tax bills are $19.02 higher than they should have been. Bottom line is, it's too late to do anything about it. It's going to have to be done again next year. When I saw that at the end of December, I contacted the county and I asked them for an explanation, where did it go wrong, and I said, I want to make sure this $15,000 doesn't kind of get floating out somewhere else, since it didn't get credited to us. And that's been addressed, and they identified where the clerical error was, and that will be corrected for the next budget cycle. So it's not like the money's lost, it's just that instead of our tax rate being around $297 for the O&M budget, it's $316, which is like $1 less than it was last year. But anyway, that's where we are with that budget. With respect to the, and that was adopted. With respect to the 2015 budget, I don't have all the figures yet, but we are in very good shape. By definition, we can't overspend the budget because you won't be allowed to. And we have, I'll give you some examples. Our lifeguard budget was $1,000 or so under what was budgeted. The maintenance employee, his numbers came in at more than $1,000 under what was budgeted. So we're doing good. We're cutting things a little close, but we're doing good. One of the areas that the county adjusted downward was our tax bills that we pay to the towns and the school districts on the lake bottom and the reserves and the dam. We had been budgeting around $20,000. Tax bills had actually been coming in around 15 or so. So they dropped that down a little bit. They made some other adjustments upward, but some went up, some went down based on insurance costs, a bunch of other things. So it came out that we pretty much even as to what we had requested this year. As far as the numbers for 2015, the actual spending numbers won't be available until probably well into February, because bills still come in, they don't get paid yet, so they don't necessarily trigger on their report. So February, March timeframe, we'll know for sure what the prior year spending was. So with that, I will move on to does the board have any other questions on this? Okay. With that, I'll move on to the 2017 budget cycle. I really don't see a big change, if anything, in where our budget is. We're kind of like where we should be at with our budget. And I think I said at the last meeting, I really don't see a lot of change in the tax rate on the O&M side for the next couple of years. What I do see, even if there's going to be budget fluctuations, we do have surplus funds, so that $300 rate is going to kind of stay there, and maybe even drop slightly, but I wouldn't count on it dropping. What will go up is going to be the capital charge. The numbers that were published at the end of 2014 for the dam, we're approaching those annual, what those annual payments will be, where depending upon whether this grant materializes or it doesn't materialize, and I'll get into that a little further down. But for most people in the district that are in the 60% capital zone, non-waterfront, away from the lake, we're at 225 this year for the capital charge, and is it right? 224. And ultimately, if we do get the grant, the charge would be 242 a year, or it'll be 324 a year without the grant. And the numbers go up depending upon if you're on the water, how much waterfront footage you have, that sort of thing. So, relatively speaking, we're approaching the numbers, okay? And that cushion that we're building is kind of important because these 2014 numbers, I don't see being the real number when this project finally gets to the point where it gets constructed, The trend is for bids to be coming in a little bit higher than as the economy is improving, So, and interest rates have changed a little bit, but not much for the municipal end, so.
Did they say about how much we got going in our reserve?
I asked for that number. I don't want to. I'll have it for you next month. All right.
They're always difficult dragging that.
No, it's not. It's just that it has to go through another process. But I have a pretty good idea on it. But I'd rather not say it unless I'm sure that it's accurate.
So they've got a mathematician working, determining what the bond's going to be and what we're going to be looking at for.
Well, about a year ago, I sat with people over in finance. I had a meeting with them and the commissioner, the DPW commissioner, and I mean, he could tell me down to the penny what we had there. All right, it's not that it's a secret. It's just that it's not a number that Public Works has. They have to get it from finance, and you got multiple people involved. But it's available, and I'll get that for the next meeting, okay? If not sooner.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we got to start really thinking about our 2017 budget submission. I know that in the past that thoughts were given to this more in the August time frame, but that was then, this is now. Our budget request is due to the county beginning of May, and it looks like around May 12th we have to have our request into the county. And we have to now project what we're going to spend a year from now, actually a year and greater. So what I will be doing is I will be sending out the copies of the existing budget to the board members over the next few weeks, and you can massage that, you can see where we are, what the adopted budget is, and there are going to have to be adjustments made There are going to be changes in salaries. There's going to be at least one, possibly two employees coming on this year. One with the rec coordinator, and the other one with the administrative position. Probably will be towards the end of this year. So those will probably be on the agenda for in the budget for 2017. So you got to start looking at that. So we'll do some initial discussions on the budget at the February meeting. March, we should be doing a presentation on the initial budget request. It's still not final. It's things that we'll massage and get some input from the public on. And then April 4th, we need to actually have project what our equipment budget is going to be for 2017 and have that into the county. So that's kind of like the first item that has to get dealt with. May 11th is our budget, our budget informational meeting where we'll present the final version of the budget request to the public, and it's due to the county on May 12th. From there, it goes through a review process through the fiscal manager at DPW. It goes through a process through finance, through the budget office. I mean, it goes on and on. There's a lot of people involved. It ultimately does not get approved by the county and adopted by the county until their December meeting each year. So we basically are starting a year in advance of when it gets adopted. If we don't do that, then we get what they think we need, and we basically forego the opportunity to have input into it. So that's why it has to start now. You got to start thinking about it now. Okay, with that, let me give you a couple of things here that have developed. I spoke with Allied Biological in December. Their contract is finished basically, and the county will be going out for quotes for another 3-year cycle on the lake treatments. Allied, I asked them if they would entertain the thought of doing of submitting the DEC permits for us on a purchase rec rather than waiting for the full contract. They may or may not get the bid, historically they do get it, but you never know. So they were agreeable to that, and they had been in the past. County's agreeable to it, so we could avoid the delay that happened a couple of years ago where we didn't have the approved DEC permits to do lake treatments because the county was late on it. So that was December, towards the end of December. Beginning in January, I started getting these emails, which I thought were junk mail, from a company called Solitude Lake Management. And then a clarification came out that basically said Allied Biological is no more. Which kind of surprised me because they didn't say anything like, just before Christmas. They didn't say anything, and then now it's like they're no more. They've merged with another company or companies, which are now known as Solitude Lake Management, and they have a territory that covers like the whole East Coast. So on the one hand, well, maybe that's a good thing. You're dealing with, you may be dealing with a larger company, more resources, more technical advice, so on and so forth. But it also means that Orange County doesn't recognize Solitude Lake Management as an approved vendor. They have to go back through the whole vendor qualification process, the insurances, the legal things, the contract, on and on and on. So I'm sure that can be done if they are the low quote on this next cycle. But we can't even send them a purchase rec at this point to say, file the permits for us early, because they have to go through that whole process. So it's, kind of throws a little monkey wrench into things, and I'm not sure where we're gonna end up with it. The county's aware of it. I made Allied, or, you go to Allied's website, it's not there anymore. I mean, it just doesn't exist. So I sent them a note, and I says, you know, you really gotta deal with this. Here's the forms you're gonna have to put into the county as a minimum, but there's gonna be a lot of other stuff that you're gonna have to deal with, so.
Was Allied mostly the only bidder that we had?
Most years, I think they were the only
They were
bidder.
the only bidder?
There were, I think, a couple of times somebody else bid, but they were higher.
Okay.
I know that the last contract go around, more than one firm picked up bid packages, but Allied was the only one that submitted the bid. So, and then a couple of interesting things happened. When the county started getting into the budget crunches, they contacted all of their vendors and they asked them for an across the board, if they would be willing to help out with the budget situation by giving a 10% reduction in their previous quotes. And Allied agreed to that on the herbicide, but not the copper sulfate, okay? So, which was interesting, you know? Some of the contractors and vendors said, no, we already gave you a low bid, you know, we can't go any lower. Others were able to do that, you know, so it was hit and miss. But the other thing they did was, Kathleen, call your daughter.
I'll take care
Call
of
Lauren.
it. Over there.
Um,
No, over there.
That fan is very noisy. I cannot.
Well, I'm sorry, because.
Yeah, you're gonna get into interference over there with that camera, with the coffee and
It's
everything. You
weird.
really need to move that. Please. Where was I with this? Lost my train of thought there.
And it was solid.
Yeah, so,
Solitude and the new county.
I mean, we're gonna have to play it by ear and see what's what. Just, Lee, if you wouldn't mind, just bring that to the back of the room.
The
You-
fan
you-
back there is very noisy. I cannot record it.
Well, I'm sorry, but you can't have it up here. It becomes disruptive, okay?
A lot of the municipal board meetings,
Excuse me, it's,
they are right next to the.
all right, I'm not gonna get into this with you again. If you're allowed to record meetings as long as you're not disruptive. Having it up front
This
here
is not being disruptive, sir.
having it up front is disruptive. Please go towards the back of the room. If you don't, I'm gonna have to ask you to put it away and leave. All right, so. Please move it to the back of the room. And don't use the electricity here. You've been advised of that in the past. Sir, move it to the back of the room. I think you're gonna be interfering with people who are sitting next to you. Please move it to the back of the room.
Am I interfering with you, ma'am?
Please
If the
move it
chairman
to,
thinks that it's not appropriate, then I'm gonna,
please
go
move
with
it to
that.
the back of the room. Lee, please, again, this is the last time.
I'm not interfering with anybody.
All right, do I have to make a phone call?
Please, if you would.
Excuse me a minute. I'm gonna ask you to either move it to the back of the room, or we're gonna have somebody here to have you leave. Sir? Going once? Going twice?
Come on, Lee,
All right.
we wanna get the meeting going, keep it going, there's a lot of business we've gotta discuss, you can back up.
Just back it up to the spot in the corner here where you've been in the past, and that'll be fine, all right? Lee? All right. Give a call to the New Windsor Police, tell them we have a disruptive individual here. that needs to be, because interfering with our meeting, I believe that. Thank you. Anybody on board,
I'd love one.
anybody
I'd
else?
love one, yeah. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to mention this on correspondence received. Over the past year or so, we've had a number of, the county's received a number of FOIL requests, Freedom of Information Law requests. And some of them have been quite extensive in what they're asking for. One in particular was Mr. Aldridge down the road here asked for like 5 years worth of accounting detail, which the county spent a lot of time in putting together and provided to him. Another one, and I got this letter dated January 11th, was from the concerned citizens of Beaver Dam Lake, who requested all of the emails that we either sent to or received from the Beaver Dam Lake at Gmail address that we have, or my own personal address, in the second half of 2015. Well, the county processed that. Long story short, there was some gyrations on it back and forth to try to make it a little more specific. But apparently this was honored. There were certain items that were redacted that for several reasons that are contained in the law. And they actually, according to this letter, they actually responded by submitting 322 pages of correspondence, email correspondence, from those two email addresses. A lot of that was stuff that had been sent out to the community anyway. A lot of that was stuff that had to deal with purchase recs, packing slips, I mean, all kinds of mundane things. No secrets there, nothing really, sinister about it. But the point is that the Freedom of Information Law does allow people to access public records, and these are all kind of public records. But the Freedom of Information Law could also be abused. In a case like this, there really is no significant charge to the person making the request, and but there is an awful lot of work that goes into producing those documents. In this case, not only were public works people involved in spending their time pulling this stuff together, but every one of those pages had to be looked at by an attorney in the county attorney's office, and then that person, I was told, did redacted certain information and had to review it. So when we look at the significant increases that we've been seeing in our administrative charges, I'm sure the attorney's time isn't going to come cheap, and I'm sure it's going to be a back charge to the district. And I'm not sure, I mean, you're really not allowed to ask people why they want this information. They're entitled to it without explanation. But I think it's kind of an abuse of the system where this volume of information has to be processed and becomes a charge back to our district in an administrative charge for little, if any, obvious purpose to it. It's so that's something you need to consider when we put our budget request together, because I think we're going to see continuing increases in the administrative charges because of stuff like this, right? We even had people ask the county for copies of things that were readily available here at meetings or had been already distributed. keep that in mind as we get into the budget process. They can charge 25 cents a copy up to 8.5 by 14, but if they email the documents, if they're available in electronic format, then there really is no charge. And it's a it's not that it's complicated, it's meant so that people can get ready access to information without being economically impacted. But I'm sure it really certainly wasn't meant to 324 pages of mundane emails. Okay, so then we had a request from, I believe, Mrs. Southcott. I see Mark here. I believe your wife sent an email to us about the lending library.
Yeah,
Can I ask you to explain that? Do you have information on it?
not particularly, no.
Well, then I'll explain what I know about it. If you go out to Cumberland Farm and you look across the street, you'll see one sitting there.
Yeah.
It's a roadside, like, on your honor book lending spot. And the request was made whether we would entertain the idea of having one somewhere on this property. So I'll just kind of like throw that out to the board for your thoughts on it.
I just recently heard about this as well, and I think it's a great idea, but we contact you. Do we have to build one ourselves?
Well, I don't think we're in a position to, with all these we're gonna go, I don't think we're in a position to build one.
No, I'm
But,
saying.
I think we can, my opinion is I think we can entertain the idea. I'm sure we can find a spot for this little thing on, somewhere on the property. People, I don't know how well they work, if people vandalize them or steal from them or what, but I guess they work,
I just heard about it recently.
But I would, basically what I would ask is that, that somebody other than the board provide the item, It's a little, like, the one on 94, of course, from Cumberland, like a little house.
It's a little house, it looks
Like a
like.
miniature house, maybe about that big, and it's got like a plexiglass door on it, with a bunch of books inside.
I just want
Well, I don't see a cost to us, because I don't see us. The concept of providing a spot for it, I don't think is a bad idea. It's the item itself. All right, I'll get back to her. Mark, you want to get back there?
Yeah, I'll get back to Larry on that, but
Okay.
I think it's really for like kids and kids'
Yeah.
books, that's the
Right.
essence of it.
Okay. I also got an email, the board was requested to, if we would, kind of like, initiate a program to the community that, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the green light program. You put a green light in your porch or light or in the front of your house, signifying that you're supporting veterans. And I was asked if we would kind of disseminate information on that through our email system. One of the things with our email system is that we've been very particular about trying to get away from things that were lake-related or, just very, very few other things that we put out there. Although we do have a Facebook page that we could put something like this out on. The individual who submitted this actually wanted to remain anonymous. Oh, but I'm not sure why. It's something that I've seen out there. Then I've heard mixed, I guess Walmart was sponsoring something with it and then they stopped. And then I heard something that really I didn't understand was that there was the thought that if you did this, you could become a target because somebody might not like veterans. I mean, it's like, so, I don't
Well, I
know.
bought one and it didn't fit in my lamp, so I had to take it back.
Oh,
And it was the last one they had.
really?
How much was it? The bowl?
I wasn't.
Beautiful book.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just a regular bowl.
okay.
All right, so my recommendation to the board is that, you know, it's a request, but my recommendation would be that we not use our email system for this, that we use the, you know, we could certainly get some more information and put it on Facebook. Any comments,
We can
concerns?
start with that.
Okay. All right, also got, we get a lot of stuff that comes in here that has nothing to do with us, but we got a guy who, across the lake, that had a concern about a tree house being built on his property and wanted our advice on it, so I forwarded that off to Supervisor Green and the Chief of Police so that they could deal with tree houses. We have enough things to deal with. So.
I understand.
We also got an email from the other day from an individual, a resident here, requesting clarification of who's responsible for the island. Apparently she spoke there. The island is actually, straddles the town line between Cornwall and Blooming Grove. The Cornwall part, the district owns. The Blooming Grove part, there are 4 owners. This individual apparently had a discussion with one of the owners who apparently, according to the person that sent the email, indicated that she was told that the island is privately owned and it's off limits to everybody. So what I will do is I will respond with, say exactly basically what I said.
Yeah.
4 private owners and 1.
That I would address more publicly, like,
Yeah, that'll go out.
that should go out to everyone, though, so
Yeah.
everyone's aware.
Right.
But we're not paying taxes on it, are we?
We pay taxes on
We
the
do.
portion, we pay taxes on the portion that's in Cornwall, because it's on the same parcel as the lake bottom.
What's the assessment?
Huh?
What's the assessment? $10.
No, it's more than that. I definitely get you the numbers, but
It's a hazardous debt.
huh?
It's a hazardous debt now.
It's part of the property, okay? Up until, I guess around 2014, some of the owners, some of the private owners posted it as no trespassing. Well, the island's been kind of like open to everybody since the 1930s. Anyway, we also got another email on the clarification of the 2015 election results. That was answered. I guess the individual was satisfied, apparently misunderstood what was presented last month as far as the results were concerned. The dam project, as I said last month, don't put your bathing suits away. What's happening now is 2 things. The county is still trying to get DEC to put in writing what they have verbally said to me, verbally said to the county people regarding this public access issue. And every time the question is, can you put it in writing so that 5 years from now it doesn't come back and bite somebody? It's like the sounds of crickets are heard, you know? The silence is there. So, not to make light of it, there's some efforts being made to escalate this by the county people, and hopefully we'll have some real answer on it. I would not be too confident that you're going to get the answer that we're all looking for, and that is $1 million, no strings attached, okay? Which is why when these figures were presented in the end of 2014, they were presented to the community, widely distributed to the community, and presented at the meeting at the firehouse with and without the grant, okay? And the community voted very high percentage. We're not in favor of proceeding with accepting the grant if the public access issue was working. So, the other part of the dam project was that this still has to go to the Comptroller's Office or the Department of Water and Control to get their approval on the debt service, etc. And that's been going back and forth through the county legal department, and the attorneys now have decided that they wanted to make changes in the application and the documents that were going up to order and control. It sounds like there were a whole bunch of minor changes, but the county attorney is now telling DPW that this will now, because it's been revised, it now needs to go back to the county legislature for another vote on the revised, back to the county legislature for another vote on the revisions to the application. So the earliest that can happen is the February meeting of the county legislature, which the commissioner is trying to get that on the agenda for that. And then it has to go to order and control, so we're seeing this thing move out. Now, with that, I had actually made some suggestions back in October timeframe that I didn't want to sound pessimistic, but I really, Lou and I really didn't see this thing happening fast enough that it would actually be able to go out to bid and construction start late spring, as they were projecting. And it looks like this is going to be more towards the end of the summer that this is going to happen, where construction can start. So I had suggested that put a stake in the ground in sometime latter part of August to start construction, work back from that, everything you have to do, give the contractor time to do his staging and everything during the dry months, get the lake drain down in the latter part of August, that sort of thing, and take advantage of the fall weather, and then hopefully have the lake back in shape for the spring of 2017. So that's where we are. We will get
Ready to
more.
interrupt?
Good evening. We have a gentleman here that keeps moving his camera around, and he has a designated place to keep it in the back of the room, and he was getting disruptive during the meeting where the camera is located. So we asked him several times to move it back in the corner where he had been with it, where he had been using it. The law allows the meetings to be recorded. There's a public body. We are a county agency here. And he is kind of like being very uncooperative with respect to moving the camera back. He was asked to remove it because he was disruptive, but it's still where it is. So,
Sir, would you mind moving the camera back to the corner? That's
and just for the record, his name is Mr. Lee Song.
okay.
You might want to indicate that in your blotter entry, if you would.
We've already been done.
Thank you.
That's acceptable?
Back there is acceptable, as long as he keeps it back there and doesn't interfere with anybody.
Perfect. Would you like me to remain, or would you,
It's up to you. You're welcome to stay. Have a cup of coffee if you like.
I'll see what goes on here. Continue, sorry to interrupt.
Okay. I won't say it, but we don't have any donuts. So. Only teasing.
Now we need it.
We have cookies though. There's cookies though.
No, thank you.
Okay, so there'll be an email going out. We were hoping to have a newsletter go out with the information on the dam, an update and everything before the end of 2015. But we really didn't have a lot to say, so this is the development where it is for the board's edification. We have a an administrative delay again, so. As a point of information, the engineering proposals for the work that's about to be done on the dam were solicited and received by the county in February of 2005. It's 11 years, okay? So, that's where it is. The commissioner is getting really frustrated with the whole process, you know, I mean, he's trying, I can see that, but it's like, as we all are. You know. Okay,
I'm surprised the government hasn't come down on somebody. I mean, they're telling us that we don't,
a
by
year,
such and such a date, we don't take the top.
a year and a half ago, the chief of the dam safety section spoke to me over in the town of Blooming Grove. There was a dam seminar, a little dam presentation there. And he came to me and he says, you guys are gonna lose this grant if you don't make up your mind. And I said to him, it's not us making up our mind, we want this, we need an answer from you as to this public access issue. You know, you gotta put it in writing. And he just kind of waffled on the whole thing, so this is, you know.
But the agency that told us, you gotta fix the dam, I don't understand why they're not on their backs to get it done.
It's the same agency.
What, the DEC?
DEC
Oh,
administers this
DEC,
grant.
Yeah, DEC, yeah, that's right, you're right.
The DEC administers the grant.
But
And,
it
you know, I
just-
said this in
How
2000,
long it takes?
Bob, I said this in 2006. You take outside money, there are strings attached.
Well, what does
So it
that
comes
outside money got to do with it?
Well,
I
as
thought
far,
it was the construction of the dam is so bad that it creates a hazard down below, isn't that what they're,
that's a piece of,
opposing?
that's a piece of it, but that's not, it's not at a critical stage. It's not an emergency situation. It's a, it's not, so if there was imminent danger, they would have reached the dam a long time ago.
Oh my God, even going through all this, and it was not an imminent danger?
Well,
I just
deficiencies,
Oh my God.
but rather than get into this, there are deficiencies that are not imminent threats, you know? So, anyway, it is what it is. Okay, let's go out and talk about our facilities a little bit and move on here. We got a few more things to cover. The second page should go fast, actually. Erosion control and drainage improvements. We did some more drainage improvements here on this property in order to compensate for the flooding that we experienced from the town of New Windsor after this has been documented probably for 30 years through several highway superintendents as well as by several chairmen, several boards over the years. So hopefully we got this linked to the point where we're still gonna get water off the road, but instead of it flooding the building and instead of it washing out the beach on a regular basis, we think we have it to the point where it's manageable, right? So, however, reserves, Reserve 1 in the town of Cornwall is an issue. I will speak with the new old supervisor. We have Mr. Randazzo back in Cornwall as the town supervisor. Lou and I spoke with the previous supervisor, so probably we'll set up another meeting and maybe Dick Randazzo will help at that. As a point of information, last year I gave the town of Cornwall a great deal of information on an environmental grant that could have resolved the problem where we're getting all the silt and sediment being dumped in the lake over on Reserve 1. And gave them the whole application process, the links and everything to it. And interestingly enough, the DEC announced grants. The town of Cornwall didn't apply for a grant, but they would pay like 80%, 90% of the cost of doing remedial work there on their drainage system. Town of East Fishkill got a $647,000 grant to build a silt, to correct the problems with storm drainage, creating silt and depositing into Hillside Lake over in Dutchess County. So, same program, right? They took advantage of it. Town of Cornwall didn't. So that's one of the things I will bring up with the supervisor and say, you know, we're trying to get you in the right direction, you know? It's not like you gotta go spend a lot of town money to do this, but you have a responsibility. You can't keep letting this peninsula that's growing on Reserve 1 continue, you know? I mean, it's growing. So, anyway, that's that one. We do have, also in Cornwall, we got drainage issues there that the town needs to deal with, the town of Cornwall. And Reserve 8 over on Lake Road in New Windsor. If you go by the boat ramp now, there's probably a 12-inch deep rut that's washed out through that. And that all comes off the road and comes down through the property and just washes out everything. So on this property alone, we've probably spent over $20,000 in repairing the damage that's been done over the years, over recent years, because of town drainage problems. So that's things to come. The community building here, the roof replacement is supposed to start next week. Gutters and leaders will be installed as part of that. Somebody asked at the last meeting what the quote was on that, and the actual number was $11,250. I gave you a round number, I think, at the last meeting, but there's an adder to that, which is a unit charge for replacing roof decking, depending upon how much rot they find when they take the old roof off. That's the funds for that are coming from not the current budget, but there was a capital repair fund that was set up several years ago of about $75,000, which is about $57,000 left of it for things like roof replacement and major repairs. So that's where the funds come from for that. Retaining wall on Reserve 7, after we did the cleanup there, we moved over 3 tons of debris. And the retaining wall, the foot of that path going down, that is deteriorating and needs to be replaced. So we're going to have to get some quotes on how that. It's a basic wood, treated wood wall instead of retaining. It's slow. We need to get a newsletter out, hopefully with the treatment letter in it, sometime February or March. We're going to be asking the board members to take over that responsibility. So, I'll get with you guys one-on-one to divvy up some of this. Activity committee.
I guess I'm it.
Ice skating.
No, I'd love to do another ice skating.
You had some ice?
Is it frozen yet? No. Yeah, how far out does that go?
I'll turn off.
Alright, because I wanted to know. No, I'd love to do another skating event. We should do one during the day, one at night. But we need it to be, and I need somebody to test it. And you did say though that, if there was snow on it, we could get very snow or no? That's the original.
If there's snow on it, we have a way to get it.
Who's gonna shovel?
We have a way to take care of
The
it.
kids? Shovel mine.
If you send that advance notice out, I'd run down and snowblow.
That
Now,
would be great.
you gotta be careful.
I needed to be.
But it's thick enough I can drive on the lake.
I appreciate that, but we have issues with mechanized equipment being used by people who are not employees or contractors.
I'll bill you.
You know, what you do off your back dock is one thing, we
cement.
That's it.
Big leaf blowers.
Don't have the police show up.
There's nothing to shovel out there, and there's no ice to worry about right now, so. Okay.
I think it's coming. I think we're gonna pay our dues.
So, play it by ear.
Yeah. No, I'd like to do that again, but
Last year, we had an impromptu session out there, we had about 40 people show up, and, on short notice, and a lot of fun.
it's not bad.
Okay, surplus equipment, the big stainless steel sink, work table is gone. It was sold during the Christmas party. There was a gentleman here who kind of like looked at it a little bit, and I gave him a sales pitch on it, and told him all the good things he could do with it, and he needed this in his backyard, and he contacted the company that handles the surplus sales for the county, and he bought it. Otherwise, we were going to have to haul it away. Nobody wants scrap steel. Stainless steel. Price is damaged so far. So the district realized we're all about $50. We have to pay you. All right, personnel, recreation coordinator. There were two individuals that were on the civil service list for that position that were interviewed by the commissioner this morning. They were, this is in addition to the one that was interviewed back in September, who declined the job. They both appear to be interested in this. The commissioner contacted me by phone. I spoke to both of these people briefly. But it's not up to me to make a decision. The board has been asked to meet with these people in the commission later this week or next week to meet the commissioner in the opinion of the board members. Now, I want to be very clear, this is a personnel matter. Personnel interviews are not open to the public. Anybody in this room will have their job interview attended by the audience. The board does not make the decision as to the hiring of this person. We provide input to the commissioner. The commissioner and the human resources department makes the ultimate decision as to who the candidate will be, although they will take our input into consideration. Now, that being said, the position technically, like all positions here, we report to the Commissioner of Public Works because he is the administrator of the district. However, the person would be under the direction, so to speak, of the board. Okay? This position actually replaces the position that we had here for a lifeguard supervisor, which we were having difficulty filling in years, and we asked to have this other position created, rather than a seasonal part-time position, have it created as a year-round part-time position, and the job description modified so that this person did not have to be didn't have to have a lifeguard certificate, all right? But would nevertheless operate do the administration part of the beach, right? There was no legal requirement to have a person in this position to have a lifeguard certificate, so this opened the door to a broader pool of candidates. So monies for this position have been in the budget for several years, so there's no change in the budget due to this. Director of Operations, the board.
Can we just stay with that one for a minute?
Say again?
Can we just stay with the recreational
Okay,
the coordinator for a minute?
go for it.
How much money did it cost us for the lifeguard?
How much did it cost for the lifeguards?
Yeah, for that person who took care of the lifeguards.
The last time the position was filled?
Whatever.
Is that what you're asking? Or what was budgeted? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, let me just start like this then. I'm opposed to us getting involved with civil service county employees doing the work that we should be doing here. And have you given us a full job description, what he's gonna do during the winter? Because we don't really need a party.
We have, to put this in perspective, Bob, the job description was developed quite some time ago. It was developed by the board. It incorporated what the lifeguard supervisor was doing. And it went through the whole board approval process and review process, and went through the various committees at the county level, and was approved by the county legislature back on June the 4th of 2015. Okay? Now, as far as, you're entitled to your opinion, but as far as going back and revisiting this, the position is primarily the duties of what the lifeguard supervisor was doing, and that's probably 80%, maybe more of the job, and
Okay,
the rest
stop
of
right
it.
there. How much is that gonna cost us?
How much is the job gonna cost? It was budgeted at all of about, I don't know, it's probably budgeted about $15,000 in
And
it.
that's what we spent previously.
No, you spent less than that, but the other thing,
Why are we going in that direction?
because somebody has to administer this beach and run it.
Whoa. Surely do.
That's right.
Sure somebody has to do it.
Okay?
Okay.
I did it for 4 years, I'm not doing it again.
Hold on, I didn't ask you to do it. I'm not asking you to do it. What
Okay.
did we do in the past?
What did we do in the past? Well, for the last 4 years, we did not have a person on staff, but prior to that, there were people on staff that were being paid to do it, okay?
No, you're telling me you didn't get volunteers.
We did, that's right.
You didn't. You couldn't get volunteers.
We had, well, I tell you what we did have is that we did have volunteers who were coordinating between the board and the lifeguard supervisor, okay? Over the years. Those people have kind of dwindled. And I still see that there's probably gonna be some activity in that respect. But, look, I'm not gonna sit here and rehash the whole thing.
No, I'm
This
not-
is
I'm
a
not
decision that was
asking-
made, you know?
I'm not asking you to rehash what the previous boards or this board has done. I'm only saying where we are now, is the point that we arrived at.
Right. How'd we get here?
Is not in our best interest for the taxpayers.
Why do you feel that?
All right.
But Bob, there's no more Jim Highlands. There's no more Jim Highlands. There are no more. He's
Okay.
gone. And everyone like him is not here anymore.
That's right.
And Jim did it all, all for the lifeguards and always. And so did McCarthy, but they're not here anymore. They're just not here. They got, so
But
what do you do?
Who uses the
What do
beach?
you do? They're all.
I'm gonna be very honest, who uses the beach?
You don't use the beach because you're 80 years old. But the
Oh,
young
no,
people
I didn't
use
ask
the
you that.
beach.
That's not the question I asked you. I asked
You
you,
can't go
the
back.
people who use the beach,
Right.
they can't step up?
No, they can't. They're watching their children on the beach.
They what?
They watch their children on the beach when they bring them, and then they do a lot of other things, and they work. There are 2 people working in every household today.
Now, let me just say this.
It's a hard situation.
I wanna address a
We've
couple of
tried,
things.
we've tried.
As far as being involved with civil service, from the inception of this district, anybody that was paid here, the lifeguards, they all fell under civil service rules and Orange County Human Resources / personnel, right? They are county employees, they always have been. The lifeguards, the senior lifeguards and the lifeguard supervisor were always, since the inception of the district, county employees, okay? So when you say you don't want to get involved with county civil service, you have been since the last 25, 30 years, right? Our maintenance person is a county employee assigned to us paid for by the
I
district,
understand
okay?
that.
So that's the way it is. We are a county, we're part of a county agency, right, since 1988. So we're, you know, that it is what it is. That's what we have to work with, okay? We, as far as expecting volunteers to come down and supervise a beach, it's more than just being here when somebody is swimming.
Think about
okay?
it, if it didn't open there. Think about if the beach would not open.
Okay. I think there'd be an uproar in the community.
Somebody would step up. Listen,
Not necessarily. Somebody
when I was a young
qualified.
man, my father said, you mow the beach, I
Right.
mowed it. When I became a man, I mowed the beach, I raked it out.
Yeah, my-
We did those
and
things.
you know what, I
because
did it.
We wanted the beach.
I did it too.
That's right.
My kids did it. My
That's right.
my parents did it.
That's
My
not
grandfather
happening
did
today.
it. It's not exactly.
It's not
It's not.
happening today.
So the point is you got to pay people to do certain things, and that's part of it. Okay.
I'm sorry, but so you had volunteers that used to do the lifeguard, like that was
Yeah.
your.
Well, that was before. No, you never had volunteer lifeguards.
Hey, they just administrate.
Okay.
Right,
But
so
anytime opening
what we're
the
gonna
beach
do,
was a
we're not gonna
volunteer.
belabor this, all right? And I know this isn't gonna satisfy you, but
No.
the fact of the matter is you're entitled to your opinion, but this was well aired for several years
That's
at
fine.
these meetings.
It can't be stopped.
Right.
But paying 12 grand, I don't understand why we get to this number. We don't need a party planner during the winter. You need somebody just to take care of this during the summer. It costs 12 grand?
Well, here's the problem, Bob.
No, seriously, does it cost 12 grand to do that?
Can I ask a question, because I'm new to this is a whole
Yeah.
new process. Is it where they're paid an annual salary?
No.
Or is it more like a time?
Time.
So they'll have to get time in,
It's a
not that they're gonna be
part-time
paid-
hourly position that,
So they'll have to submit paperwork to show what they're doing.
they have to fill out time
So
cards.
so the 12,000 is not something that's gonna.
So that when we go sit at the interview, we're gonna kind of tell these, besides listening to who they are, we're gonna tell them what their job is.
There is a job description that
That's what I want
is
to know.
already.
What is the job description?
I think I answered this question several meetings ago.
Vaguely.
No, I
because
said
now
you can
we
go,
need
you
to-
can go online and read it. It's in the county, on the county website. It's published there under Recreation Coordinator, under county job specs, all right? It's there. All the county job specs are there.
So you,
It's
we
there.
went that direction because that was the only one you could find?
We could, I believe it was the only one we could find. I'm not sure I understand your question. This
I
is,
sincerely hope that you can keep the cost down to the taxpayer, we just, God.
Bob,
You know,
you-
when I went around getting my petition signed, that's all I heard from every person.
okay.
When is this gonna end? When is it gonna get settled down? You can't keep raising the taxes.
This is why, this is one of the reasons, I'm gonna tell you something. This is one of the reasons why I really felt that I really didn't want to continue on as chairman, to listen to this kind of stuff. All of this, Bob, you had the opportunity for the last 4 or 5 years to come to these meetings, to listen to this, and to understand what was going on, okay? You need to be brought up to date
I
and
really don't
understand
think a lot
what.
of people really understood what
Well, okay, and you're gonna cure all that, thank you. We're gonna move on, all right? The position, we will have interviews, the county will make the final decision on it. The Commissioner of Public Works has stated that unless we hire somebody or the board steps up to do something here individually, he will not be involving his staff in dealing with any social programs here. And that means social programs are the swimming beach, or any other activity that we do here. And he also indicated that unless we're willing to deal with the local end of this, he's not going to devote staff to deal with water treatments and come out here and make determinations when treatments are to be done. Now, I think that part of it we've got under control. We've got people that are willing to do that. But it's a matter that, you got to understand where the county is coming from, and you got to understand that people are not volunteering their time like they did years ago, right? So the district, the original premise of this district being formed was that things weren't getting done 30 years ago. All right, they were getting done sporadically, some years good, some years bad, kind of like the way it was getting today in recent years. So the district was formed not only to fix the dam, but it was also fixed so that there would be a mechanism to pay to get certain things done. Okay? You're not going to get people to volunteer to come down and mow the lawns on 8 properties every week in the summertime. You're not going to get that to happen, so it gets
You're
contracted
absolutely
out.
right, but what happened to us is we went beyond that.
Well, the properties
You-
four
you-
years
you
ago,
can
5
say
years ago looked like
We have
overgrown empty
operating
lots.
maintenance of $250,000. My God.
That's right, $21,000 of that is administrative charges to the county, all right? $15,000 to $16,000 of that is taxes, all right? Understand the budget before you
I
make
do.
comments on it,
I
all
do.
right? Get yourself educated, Bob. All right, now, we're gonna move on. I'm just getting flustered with this. Okay, the Director of Operations position that the board asked about and approved the resolution last meeting, requesting it as a part-time position rather than the county providing an engineer out here or another staff member at a much higher cost to operate the district, is in the works, all right? I don't see that happening until the end of the year. So, on the new business, Salisbury Mills Fire Department has requested to use district facilities to conduct water rescue and ice rescue drills on 3 dates, January 24th, February 28th, and May 2nd. There'll probably be no ice on the lake on any of those dates. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the request from them and waive the administration fee for the use of lake district facilities for rescue training on those dates.
Motion?
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion to approve the Beaver Dam Lake Water Corporation use of the community building for 4 quarterly meetings during 2015, dates to be determined.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carried. Motion to authorize applications, agreements, and expenditures for the following: 2016 ISFOLA membership renewal, 2016 participation in the CSLAP program, 2016 New York State DEC algicide and herbicide permit applications, 2016 goose management agreement with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the 2016 beach permit renewal, in attendance for the chairman or a designee at the 2016 NICEFOLA training conference that's being held April 30th and probably May 1st and 2nd in Hamilton, New York. This is for seminar fees, travel, lodging, meals per the Orange County guidelines. We approve this every year, but it hasn't been attended in quite some time, but hopefully we get somebody to go this year. So now the costs involved with these other items there, the NICEFOLA and the CSLAP fees have already been paid back in November for 2016. And the algicide and herbicide permit applications, those are probably total about $300 together. The goose management program with USDA hopefully will have no charge again, be covered by a grant through the Air National Guard. And the beach permit renewal is no charge to the county since we're a county agency. So with that, I'll entertain that motion. Motion by Bridget, second by
Second.
Doreen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next one is to, a motion to authorize the chairman to submit purchase requisitions as needed throughout 2016 for various routine purchases as per the budget, including but not limited to the general printing, the newsletter, postage, office supplies, maintenance supplies, consumables such as cleaning, paper goods, etc., repairs to the facilities, small tools and equipment, safety equipment, replacement of worn out and obsolete equipment, miscellaneous signs, etc. So all the mundane routine things, rather than coming back to the board each time to buy toilet seat. Right,
Yes.
post-it notes. Okay, motion, I'll entertain that motion. Bridget, second by Lou. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, next one is a motion to solicit quotes for sun protection for the lifeguard stands. Well, let me explain. Skin cancer is a very significant occupational hazard for lifeguards. The umbrellas that we've been using really don't cut it. They don't stand up well. We end up spending, actually, the last several years, we've been replacing umbrellas every year. They just don't do the job. And as we got to the bigger umbrellas, so they provide better coverage, then they became a problem with wind. So we had 2 of them destroyed this year with wind, brand new ones, and one got replaced under warranty, but I was pulling teeth, and the other one just didn't get replaced. So, but the lifeguards are exposed unnecessarily. So back last summer, I started into a conversation with one of the county vendors that actually manufactures awnings, and I was supposed to meet with the guy, but it happened to be on a day my granddaughter was unexpectedly born premature, so that meeting got canceled. But we need to deal with it, okay? And I need a board member to really take the ball and run with this. It's really something that it's past the time that we really need to address this, okay, in a better way. So that's the reason for this, okay? So one, I'd like to make the motion that, or I'd like to have a motion to solicit those quotes, but I also need a board member to be willing to step up to.
I'll step up.
You step up? Okay. All right. The county vendor, by the way, is the guy on 32.
I'll get the 2 of you later.
So you
on
can,
that.
okay? Okay, so, motion on that?
Second.
Second by Doreen. All in favor? Opposed? So carried. We need to adopt the 2016 lifeguard pay scale steps. I will send you the existing schedule for those that don't have it. But it's a step schedule that was adopted a couple of years ago that ranges anywhere from, currently it ranges anywhere from $12.50 to $14.75 an hour for the lifeguards, with the senior lifeguard pay based at 15% above the highest paid lifeguard. Put this in perspective, the county pays park attendants, part-time park attendants, whose job responsibilities are to check people out of the parks and hand them golf clubs and stuff like that. They're getting almost $17 an hour with far less responsibilities and no requirements for certifications, you know. So my recommendation is to bump these up, say like $50 an hour on the scales. Maybe the lower scale, keep it a little bit lower than the $50 increase. Bring the others up. The way it works is in the first year is entry level, no experience. Second year is a seasoned prior experience as a waterfront lifeguard. Third year is 2 or more seasons of prior experience. There's an increase with respect to people who have water safety instructor certification. Put that down. Well, we can make a copy of that. We'll have that before. Okay. We don't really have to decide on that tonight. It would be nice if we could, but we need to definitely decide on it by the February meeting, because lifeguard hiring has to start end of February. So we're just going to solicit them. So we'll defer that to next meeting. Okay. Let's see, what else we got here? advertise and fill the lifeguard position. We need a motion for that. I'm not sure we're gonna need to advertise it. Spoke with our senior lifeguard from last year, and she's interested in coming back here. We're gonna be reaching out to the other ones that have worked here previously. If they're interested in this kind of simple, assuming they want to bring their certifications up to date. Motion on that? Second by? Motion as advertising for the lifeguard position. Let's authorize the chairman to do that. All right, then the next one is, all in favor on that? Opposed? Motion, authorize the chairman to purchase updated permit stickers for the vehicles and boats. I spoke with Fred about it a little while ago, and we have an idea. Rather than get into a protracted discussion of what color they should be and the physical layout of it, I would appreciate if the board would allow the chairman Fred and I to deal with this. We have money in the budget for this. All right, we have a motion on that.
I want a custom color going down there.
You want a different color?
I want a custom
Personalized
color.
sticker.
I want one personalized one, otherwise I'm just not gonna do it.
LEDs installed.
All right.
You still music on it too, when you do that. You get the chipmunks on, that's what it is. I have a motion on that?
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, next one involves Reserve 8. Motion to authorize the chairman to execute a request to relocate the existing lights and add lighting on Reserve 8 as per Central Hudson recommendations. We talked about this for some time. The one light is in a spot where it can't be maintained in certain parts of the year. This year was out for about a month and a half because the line truck was safe trying to drive across the lawn, so they pulled out and put it back on the ground. So that pole needs to be relocated across the road. And I explained to them, I explained to Central Hudson the other day that there are dark areas, cleaned out all the hiding places, the dark areas to the left and right of the property, along the edges there, we still find paraphernalia, we still have issues with visibility. So the recommendation is to add a third light over there. The choices are either the Cobra style lights you see on the roadways, which aren't going to do any good there, or a floodlight of the same size and type that's there, with some aiming and adjustments. They're fine with it. They're going to come back with the cost, and it's based on the municipal rates. One of the things I did find out is that the lighting on, those are rental lights there, and the lighting is being charged at a private customer rate rather than a municipal rate. So we will have a little bit of a savings on that by putting it into the right rate category. And we're also removing the one light that's over here since we installed the area lighting on our own here. They're very limited as to what they offer. They do not offer LED area lighting. They do offer LED street lighting, but it's only the Cobra style fixtures, which you see, along the roadways. This one out here does a great job of lighting up the next door neighbor's house and the roof of the building, as well as that neighbor's house, like in their house.
So this new light would be added to the existing pole?
No, there'd be 3 poles,
Okay.
and they would be spaced out differently than they are. They're gonna come back with a sketch on it, and their lighting rep was here the other day. So, motion to move with that one.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're gonna hold off on the next one there. The 2016 equipment budget needs to get revised because what we put in last April, some of it's already been purchased, some of it just changes, you know. So we need to do a revision on that. I'll send that around. You can peruse that. We'll hold that to the February meeting. Next item, authorize the motion to authorize the chairman, to submit, excuse me, getting ahead of myself. Authorize the chairman to submit a request to Orange County to contract the removal of the oil storage tank and the old furnace in this building.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Funds for that, by the way, would be in that that project fund that I referred to earlier. So it's not out of this year's budget. Next one is authorize the chairman to submit a request to Orange County to contract repairs and installation of fencing on reserves 1, 2, 4, 5, and 8. This is something that's also been long in the works. That reserve fund that I spoke of also had money earmarked in it for fencing. So that's where that would come from. County has these blanket contracts with various providers for different services, and that's what this would come under. So it's already been, when you utilize and piggyback those contracts, you're basically getting the rates that were already bid for other county projects. So,
Motion?
is there a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, the last item is authorize the chairman to purchase materials to construct additional boat racks on reserves 3 and 6. If you look outside, we have the materials to do some rack work over on 8. And this would be the same style and type of rack that we used on 2.
Are we gonna have issues with maintenance around it?
Say again?
Are we gonna have issues with maintenance around the rack?
They're gonna be raised up.
So they'll be able to get to.
They're gonna have to be built a little higher than they are. All of the racks, including the ones that are on 8 now, are a maintenance issue for grounds maintenance. So all of this stuff has to be raised up a little bit higher so that the debris can be cleaned out from under them and blown out from under them, and the trimming can be done.
Okay. So they'll be done.
They'll be done higher level. Open a suggestion on that, you know. But, basically, on the last ones, Harry and Tony and I built them. You know, I mean, they're pretty simple to go together. So. Motion on it?
Sure. Motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Bob, would you reach over and get the papers out in that tray there? Margaret, she's calling out one at a time. Now, you have to reverse them because the ones that were on the top, take the one you just put off on the bottom and put that in. There you go.
If you're going to work on building it, then you give a call, I'll give you.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody else besides me to do it, you know. Yeah.
Tom Cole?
Yeah, I was wondering on your fencing, what was the total estimate on the new fencing and repairs?
Well, we don't have the estimate on it, but current estimate, we did have an estimate from several years ago that was not acted on. So I don't have that information here tonight.
So
We can get back to you with an answer.
the way this works is that you get approval to go ahead with it without knowing what the price is?
We had estimates done, and they were submitted to the county, and they were put into that budget for that fund that was created a few years ago. So that's what we'll be going by.
So what roughly?
I don't have that information tonight. I
So
answered
the
that
board
question.
just voted on something that nobody had any idea what the
We
price is?
will, we will, we will get the information if you like.
Is that the way it works? Is it the board votes on something
It's
that
gonna-
has
it's
no
gonna-
idea what the price is?
It's going to be based on the county, the existing county bid, okay? That's what we'll be based on.
So there's no price that we know what you're acting on?
I don't have that information here tonight. I answered that question. Next item.
Kathleen? Yeah, thank you, I was looking at the time frame from the budget request informational meeting. It's May 11th, and then you're having a public meeting, and I would imagine that was for input and consideration, yet you have to have the budget submitted the very next day. There's not a lot of time, and from what I'm hearing here, in the community, there's a lot of concern about budget items, so I was just wondering if you could maybe change that time frame to allow for people to voice their concerns, because that's not a lot of time.
Well, if you look at the schedule that's there, the presentation of the initial budget request to the public will be on March 9th. And then in April, what's not on there is that it will be presented again at the April meeting, and then it will be presented at the final version of it will be presented at the May meeting. So you have actually a period of at least 2 months, 3 months there that the public will have information, and it is also disseminated by email. So,
Okay,
which is what we've been doing the last couple of years, and maybe you missed the emails, or maybe, but you weren't at the meetings, I know that, so. But this information, for those that have been, at the meetings, it was almost like, so it was very repetitive. We did line by line presentations of the budget at like 3 months in a row this past year. Okay, compared to what's been done in prior years, there is a great deal more information presented to the public here on the budgets than there ever has been.
The way I read it, and this is just my interpretation, is that it wasn't really clear on the February, March, and April meetings that for public input. So I would ask that you might take and consider making that a little bit more clear for people like me who didn't totally understand it.
The reality is there isn't a lot in the budget that is within our control, so
And
that gets
okay.
presented.
And I understand that.
Yeah,
And
we
if
don't-
the public knows that they're invited, then they can come, and they'll learn that rather than having all this miscommunication out in the district.
Well, I'm gonna take exception to that, because I gotta tell you, I went back, I looked at the amount of information that has been presented over the past 4 years on our budgets, and it's been significantly greater than what had ever been presented to the public before. And last year was probably the most information that we put out, and it was presented line by line, meeting after meeting. The public was notified of it. The public was given a special budget message in the early part of, probably mid-spring. And I could get those dates. You check back in your emails if you kept them. They were sent to your home too. So the bottom line is, if you missed all of this, I'm sorry, I can't help that. But the bottom line is, going forward, we're going to do the same thing we did in 2015. The information will be presented at each meeting, and we did receive input from the public at each of those meetings. Okay? You weren't there. You didn't take the time to come to the meetings. So.
And this was stated in your emails before the meeting?
Yes.
I believe it was.
Okay,
Go
I'll
over
go
it.
back and check.
Special meetings, because I have the emails at home, I just empty my book.
There just
and I've
seems to
got
be-
everything.
We're not doing anything in secret over here,
No, no,
and it's
I'm
been
not
very
saying
well
that.
publicized.
There just seems to be, if you're out in the community and talking with people, there seems to be a breakdown in communication between, maybe they're misinterpreting something, I don't know, but I have been out and I hear things, and I come to the meetings and I hear other things. And the word isn't getting out somehow clearly that people can come here and get the answers that they need. And all I am suggesting, I'm not saying you're not doing what you're supposed to do, there is a breakdown. And what happens is you get people aggravated. So if you choose to change the format and make it a little more clear, you choose to do it. If not,
What should we do to make it more clear to the people?
to me, I think that in these meetings where you say discussion of initial budget review requests, make it really clear that these people can come and listen, and if they're available to ask questions, that you'll welcome them. That's all I'm saying.
This is just simply a synopsis laying out the dates of what what we need to do on those dates.
But you're saying
And-
the public can come, right?
The public,
It's
It's
a
a
it's
public-
at a regular meeting.
So my suggestion would be, you know how you do your wonderful reminders, invite the people to come and listen.
And that's been done.
So,
I'm sorry, but I think you need to go back and look at what's been sent to you in the past, okay? This has been done in the past, and you know, I said something a while back that I was taken to task on, but I'm gonna say it again. All too often, what we send out in the form of written communication, whether it's printed written communication, and this has been a problem for decades, many people don't read it, they treat it as junk mail. Not that the work that went into it is junk mail, it's the way people look at it, all right? They look at it and they throw it away. They don't even bother to open it. And we've been told this by many people, and we've said to them, well, what you're asking has been given to you many times, okay? And they say, well, I don't read those things. Well, I can't help that. I could lead you to it, but I can't force you to read something. Now, the same thing happens with our emails, all right? I've had people say, yeah, I see it, but I don't read them. Okay, so I don't know what else we could do to get into people's heads and tell them, force them to read something, okay? The information is there. We have disseminated more information than ever before, and some people read it, some people give us input on it, some people give us responses, others ignore it. And I don't know how to get past that, okay?
well, I think there has been a definite shift in the way things have been viewed around the lake, and I think you would have to agree, in the last maybe 6 to 9 months. So I'm just saying that.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I
And I'm
think
not
that-
gonna get into the debate, but I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I think people are asking more questions and are more aware maybe because of some things that have come up. So now is an opportunity, from my point of view, for the board to just, it won't hurt to just.
We're gonna do what we did, and that's exactly what you're suggesting. We've already done that, and we'll
Okay.
continue to do
I'm
that.
looking forward to your next email.
And that's what we will continue to do that. We will disseminate information, but the thing that I see happened in the last 6 to 9 months is there was a lot of misinformation that was deliberately disseminated around the lake by maybe some well-meaning people, but maybe they weren't so well-meaning, but they were very misinformed. And I think that was a disservice to this community and to this board. So it's, I don't want to go there, all right? The bottom line is, we will continue to send out information and you don't really need to suggest it. What you're suggesting has already been done and will continue to be done, okay? And we will bore everybody to death at the next meeting with all of the details, line by line, of what's in the budget, okay? That's what's gonna happen, because whether they like it or not, they're gonna sit through it again, all right? The person behind you sat through it, meeting after meeting this past year, Those that take the time to come to the meetings and be informed will understand it. But, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, Okay, Margaret.
Lisa?
My question is regarding the district O&M operation and maintenance budget. You mentioned that we pay $21,000 taxes over a total budget of $250,000. So by my calculation, that's 8.4% of the total budget goes to the taxes. For a household, let's bump it up to 10%. You know, I pay around $9,000 in property taxes every year, and divided by 10%, we're suggesting I should have a $90,000 operating and maintenance budget every year, and I don't even spend near that much.
I don't understand what you're saying.
The analogy is that the operating and maintenance budget is, at the very least, very much bloated. If you're paying $21,000 in taxes over a $250,000 budget, that's 8.4%. That's less than 10%. But if you can say, you go to any, like say, average household, if you have a 10% of your total budget goes to taxes, and say somebody has $8,000 or $9,000 in property taxes every year, you're going to be suggesting that that average household in this neighborhood would be having an $80,000 or $90,000 operating budget every year, and that's obviously I think that's not even close to most people spend around here. And I think that's my analogy here is that the operating budget, I believe, is bloated, and I think, the educated guess is that it's just unsustainable.
You're forgetting that we have 9 properties that we're maintaining. We also have staff to maintain the beach and all those properties included in that budget. So it's not the same to take care of a business property as it would be to take care of personal property.
Well, can you tell me why is different? We have the same needs. We have to have. I'm sorry?
Are you willing to mow your own lawn? Do you mow your own lawn?
No, I have my lawn mowed.
Can you clarify what it is you're trying to?
I'm saying by mathematical calculation that this budget is bloated.
Your budget's inflated.
Is whatever that you're spending seems to be out of whack, proportional wise.
Well,
because if you pay 8.4% in taxes, and let's bump it up to 10%, and average household pays say $8,000 in taxes, and by that calculation, by proportional wise, you're going to have $80,000 in annual operating budget for a household around here. And I don't think anybody has
just
that.
answer you this way. The contents of the budget are explained in great detail at these meetings in the early part of the year. They will be explained again, and you will have the opportunity to make a comment on pointing out what parts of the budget you feel may be unnecessary or inflated at that point in time. Okay? Why don't you wait until those numbers are presented, and then we can maybe better understand specifically where the concerns might be. Right? So that's the way I would answer that. Let's go on to the next person.
A couple things. I may just be naive. Is there any chance that I like the idea of recording the meeting and then asking, somebody, however they put it in paper, does it have to go to paper, or can that be sent of the recording? You just move data as this is the minutes, and if anybody requests it, we can make a copy of it to save that possible $100 a month fee to get it typeset. Is there a law that says they have to go from an audio cassette to paper?
Well, minutes are supposed to be in a written form.
It is, okay, I didn't,
Minutes are a synopsis of a meeting, they're not verbatim.
Understood. Understood, but I would, you know, hey, here's even better, the whole meeting, I'm not like, you know.
Well, one of the things that I'll point out is that to simplify the minutes, much of it can be stated at, for example, item 10, that could be a one-liner. The items in item 10, with the exception of the ones that were deferred, were approved. And that's it.
I just thought,
So we don't need to go into a lot of detail on each of these.
sure.
And that's something that would be worth.
That's a lot of work nowadays, you know, and I don't think you could get stenography, dictation stuff to work properly. So, just looking to say one. The Facebook site is interesting, and I'm thinking about even on Kathy's comment of notification of a budget meeting upcoming. We're going to look at the budget this meeting, and I thought the Savage Board would maybe be nice that, hey, visit our Facebook site. Maybe a lot of residents don't even know we have one. I didn't know we had one. And maybe residents could submit photos to the Facebook site and link at different hours and days and things of that nature for it. And the community more involved. But then I'm sitting here thinking, the plow truck rolls by in the middle of a February snowstorm and the sandwich board ends up, you know, so I would love to use.
Actually, we've been pretty successful with that.
Yeah, I just think we could maybe utilize the sandwich boards more to communicate different items to the district. I love when I ride in and I see them there, it keeps us in touch with the holiday party, how to RSVP, and all those items. And maybe the people that are deleting their emails will ride by the budget board.
There's a two-edged sword to the sandwich board. One, and even the Facebook page. Our Halloween party and our Christmas party, we had a number of people from outside the area send in their desire to attend. And they had to be politely explained that it's not open to the entire world. There's some unanticipated issues on those. Next.
The island posted. The island is posted. It was posted last year, and it is the posted signs are only on the privately owned property. So the area that is open to the public does not have any posting signs on it. The posting signs have a habit of falling onto the ground, getting pulled off the trees, and being put back up. It's almost like a game. They've been found in the fireplace pit. And it's been posted in by 4 different owners in 4 different sections, and would welcome anybody to make a comment in publicly that it is, the private parts are privately posted and the public section's open for public use. And please respect the public side and please respect the private side.
I guess where the problem is that, and I explained this to you last year, or maybe longer, that that island has been open to the community since like 1931, and then the abrupt change all of a sudden of restricting what was basically became a public easement probably doesn't sit well with a lot of people in the community.
And the other side of the coin is I would be hateful for a child to die on my piece of the land and then have somebody come after my home and my earnings. So that's, the posted signs are out of protection and out of respect, and I would, maybe that comment publicly to the people would put them on the 4 people that would accept that, don't want that liability, and don't want people hanging on that tree swing. There's 18 inches of water underneath a tree swing. It's not a safe place to be. And really none of us would want a lawsuit and have to spend our money to defend our families.
And that's been
Next item.
Yeah, and if that rope is real old.
Excuse me, it's not an open forum. If you want to say something, put your foreman.
So the damn letter, is there any? Yeah, I didn't mean the damn letter, I mean a letter on the dam. Is there helpful that the community had a letter go to possibly the governor on our frustration on the dam getting underway with the support of 800 signatures?
It would be inappropriate and counterproductive at this time.
I asked instead of just writing it, right?
You gotta, you gotta work through certain channels before you get to a point like that. And if we think it becomes necessary, and the commissioner thinks it becomes necessary, then that word would go out, okay? But it would be.
That's why we ask.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it would be counterproductive for that to happen,
Okay.
you know? Right now, we, from time to time, people copy the county executive on things that, because they're going to that level, it raises a question, and then it doesn't really get taken seriously. So to do it, you gotta do it correctly, okay?
Okay.
And it's been discussed, not to the governor's level, but to other levels, but it's been discussed, so.
Last question, the recreation coordinator, will that person be able to go onto the lake and actually check the boats for stickers?
That's not within the scope of work on that job, that's more of a security job.
It's nice to have the stickers, it stinks that there's nobody out there to police them, right?
You wanna pay for a security guard?
No, that's what I'm saying, it's a great thing, I love the sticker idea, it's just wish we could have,
I like
We've
your
been
last comment.
discussing that.
what's that?
I like your last comment. Are you interested in building a rack?
That's the way, I'm sorry, I didn't have it on my list. Yeah, if you give me if you give me a shout out for the boat rack, I'll come and help put boat racks together.
Awesome. Make sure that's noted.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, I got 10 fingers and hopefully.
I don't want to pass up on that free help there.
I did put it on my copy, yeah, but absolutely, I hope they sign up some road racks.
Thanks.
All right, Bill Arba?
Well, you answered the question that the administrative individual will be an hourly employee. He answered it today.
That was answered at the last meeting too.
Okay, but you answered it today, so. Always gotta stick your nose in. Can the individual job descriptions of the administrative individual be broken up that allows volunteers to do those jobs? And to cut down the hours of the taxpayers' spending? Like Bob over here suggested, that there are people that did volunteer their time, and there are certain individuals that piss them off, and that's why they didn't volunteer their time. But since that individual is leaving, I think we'll have more volunteers to help out around the lake.
I think we're out of order here, but to answer the question, it's anticipated that these positions will not replace volunteers, but it will they will provide continuity for the times when volunteers are not available and the work still has to get done. It also will, those positions are envisioned that they will be making use of volunteers and coordinating volunteer activities.
Is this your decision, or is this the board's decision?
This is what the board has envisioned.
Okay, in other words, there's no volunteers allowed to do any of those jobs.
That's not what was said.
Okay, fine, so the job is open for individual, when I look on the website, or Orange County website, don't check it.
That's not what we're saying. And
I'm saying, when I look on the website and I see a breakdown of the jobs, those could be broken apart for volunteers.
that's not what we're saying.
What are you saying?
We're saying is that these jobs are to deal with things that have to be done on a continuous basis. And that they will still make the use of volunteers in achieving the end results, but they will not be relying solely on volunteers to do this. They'll be coordinating the work of volunteers and integrating it with the work of these two positions. We're not going to be taking, it was not envisioned that you would take specific line items on a job description and assign that to a volunteer and not have the person do it, right? But both of these positions would be under the direction of the board, and for flexibility, could be assigned or not assigned certain things to do if volunteers were available to do those other tasks.
Okay, you had mentioned that you wanted the board to take up the email and communication. Right? Is that open for volunteers, or is it just the board position?
Well, it's not on your list, but I'll answer it. Right now, it's envisioned that the board will be handling this stuff, okay? That's what they're elected to
So you
do.
don't want volunteers.
That's not what we're saying. I said, right now, that's what we're envisioning.
On Reserve A, you have abandoned boats,
Right.
no stickers, and we're putting up boat racks for people that don't even put a sticker on the boat?
Actually, most of the boats on A have stickers on them. There are a
I'm
few.
sorry, 7 out of the 10 don't have stickers on them, and I photographed them.
Last time we did an inventory on those boats, the majority of them, with the exception of a few, had stickers on them, okay? Now, things change. People take boats out, and boats come in. We don't inventory them every week. However, one of the things that's on the to-do list is to do another inventory and to send out the warnings like we did a couple of years ago that anything without stickers on them will be removed. Chains will be cut, they'll be piled up, and that'll be the end of it. We did it on 2, we did it on 8, we did a couple places that we did on 5, and a lot of that cleared up. It's migrating back again. When we get the new updated stickers out and they get issued, then we will go back and do another removal program.
Do you sell those boats?
What's that?
Do you sell the boats that are piled up?
Well, I don't think we had to sell them. It ended up that some of them just disappeared on their own. The owners came and got them. We know that a few of them were stolen. Okay? So we have a few that we have to deal with the legal issues through the county attorney in order to go through a disposal process on them, because they are serialized vehicles and they come under the motor vehicle laws, all right, for disposal. So you just can't sell them. We have to go through a process to do it.
Just always looking at a couple of the
A lot of them, the problem got cured by themselves, all
It's
right?
too bad they can't be auctioned.
Huh?
It's too bad there can't be auctioned.
They can be, but you have to go through the process of doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
All right,
and
and
then,
anyway, we're jumping around, I really don't want to do that, so let's go back to the
It's
list.
just
Anybody else on
one
that?
question about Raymond Lake, who treats Raymond
Yeah,
Lake?
Allied Biological, who
Right.
takes care of Greenwood Lake?
I'm not sure who takes care of Greenwood Lake.
I
I
have a
know,
friend down there on beach, so maybe you can ask him.
I know that Allied does work at Greenwood Lake. And I know that they have an interstate commission that does things at the lake. But I don't know who takes care, quote unquote, who takes care of the whole lake. It's a large lake. But Allied does work over there. Most of the lakes in the region are actually maintained, Allied does their work. Greenwood Lake has also done some things that they were advised not to do, such as aeration systems that they put in the village end there, and created some consternation. Greenwood Lake does not, up until 2 years ago, they were not doing chemical treatments. There was opposition to it. I know that firsthand. And I do know that they do a drawdown every year. And I do know that there's a large number of people that know that doing a lake drawdown doesn't cure all the problems, that you need to do a complete management program, utilizing various tools and methods. You just can't, there's no magic bullet, okay? That's what it comes down to. So, and hopefully, after this year, we'll be able to add lake drawdown to our toolbox and do some other things. So with that,
Well, my question with that was that since Allied Biological is no longer Allied Biological, could we find out if there is another option on Greenwood Lake? That's what I'm saying.
another company.
Another company.
That's why when the county goes out to solicit proposals, it gets distributed through the various purchasing channels. And then the companies that do those types of services are given the opportunity to bid on it, okay? It's not something that we can just say, let's go to company X or Y. It has to go through a process.
I don't have to submit another form, but you could go back to the lake draw, break it down in the dam. Pretend it did happen, you put that stake in August, and you made a comment, hopefully we'd have the lake back the next summer, you don't mean like if we draw it down in August, they would work through April, be done, and then the spring fill-up would have it up and running for the summer
That's the
17?
hope.
So you wouldn't.
Oh, I thought 17 would be wiped out when it would fill for 18.
Now, actually,
I think that's more realistic.
That's the pessimist, but.
that could happen depending upon, what unknowns are discovered when the construction starts.
Yeah, I mean, 6 months is like really hopeful.
Yeah.
It was done, actually, when the work was done on the dam the first time, the lake was drawn down for a lot less than that. Not all the work that has to be done on the dam requires the lake to be drawn down all the way.
Imagine if it was empty this year with all the spring runoff that we're not gonna have from this weak winter. There's more water going through the lake now.
All right, there's one more thing I wanna cover here. And that's this monster that's sitting here. I'll hold it up. Looks like a sandwich board, but what you got here is a little history of some of the signs that we used around the lake. These were, used to be put every other telephone pole. There were maybe 100, 120 signs, little posters that were put up around the lake, including in some dangerous areas along Route 94 where people could get run down, or on Lake Road where people have been run down, not our people. Used to be that lifeguards were enlisted to put these things up. One, it's illegal to put them on telephone poles and stuff like that, and people were getting a little bent out of shape when they were putting them on trees. Then I went back and looked at the actual permits, and there's really no reason to have this many posters put, or warning signs put up. The permit the state issues basically says that the postings have to be conspicuous in the area, and that where there is public access, the shoreline has to be posted every 50 or 100 feet, something like that. Okay? Well, technically we don't have public access, but if you stretch the term and say that the reserves are public to our community, you know, that's not a big deal, posting 8 properties with signs, okay? But there was absolutely nothing in the permit requirements that required these to be put on every other telephone pole or every so many feet along Shore Drive, Beaver Brook Road, Lake Road, Route 94. So we cut back on these drastically. We got it down to maybe about 40 signs, right? And we made them bigger, right? I mean, these things are a little hard to read as you're going by. We always tried to make them colorful. Our printer started doing them on this size for a while, right? And these actually held up surprisingly well in the weather. Problem is, you get a strong wind, and they're blown down, you know, they come apart. And they have to be put back again in some cases, especially when you're doing the herbicide treatments where you have to maintain these for 14 days. Then the printer says, well, why don't we try these? Well, these are a little bigger, more colorful. Problem is, they kind of melt when it rains, and they get stuck to the other things, you know, so they leave a residue behind. So what we said was, you know what? Let's do something a little bit differently here. We can certainly put postings up on the properties, and what we did is we, rather than get into the legalities of putting stuff on utility poles, all right, which we really want to get away from, and we really don't want to have people exposed to the poison ivy and all the other things that are around those poles and the trees, and so we bought 12 of these things, all right? And what's going to happen is we'll get these printed with a basic warning, and this is a mock-up of what it eventually will look like. It will basically be that poster blown up to this size and some interchangeable dates and interchangeable chemicals. What never, apparently never, up until I started doing this, this one said, warning, lake treatment. Okay, the lake has been treated to control aquatic vegetation, da-da-da-da-da. Never said the chemical that was being used.
Didn't have to.
It did. It did.
Well, Allied Biological made us The
All
council.
right, well, rather than get into the debate, Allied came back to us and says, you gotta put the chemical on it. Now, maybe back then it was okay, things changed, okay? So that's why these started to say, instead of lake treatment, it's warning pesticide-treated waters, all right? This is what the wording was changed to, if people noticed, all right?
So it changed.
And it changed, all right? So this is, and then the chemical was, of course, included as part of this. This we've been using this kind of a format since probably 2012 or so, all right? Probably 2012, 2013 timeframe. So it's got the pesticide, it's got the name on it, it's got the name of the chemical, and it's got the restrictions. Now, the restrictions, interestingly enough, change from year to year on the permit. Some years it says no consumption, no drinking the water, right? Other years it doesn't have that in it, it just says no livestock watering. And we get a question, well, how come you can't, it's okay for humans to drink it, but not livestock? Well, listen, we're following what it is,
And that's what we did too, when they were giving us the
So,
information.
so it changes, and it's probably gonna change again, all right? So what we'll do is we'll have a dozen of these signs out there. We'll cover the community and the properties, maybe supplemented by a few small posters that we can put on the properties, but
And you've been chaining those things down so they don't take off on you?
these are new, they haven't been put out.
The old ones you've been putting out,
The signs that you've seen out there so far have been chained,
Yeah.
right? And we experimented a couple of times without chaining them, nobody really bothered them. But these will be chained, we'll try them, and we'll see. So that's what you can expect to see. They'll go up a lot faster, they'll come down a lot faster, and we won't have people out on the road exposed to the dangers and the hazards that they've been before, The one thing we can't do is, we can't have anybody under 18 going out there putting posters up. There's labor laws involving people going out there and being exposed to traffic and operating a motor vehicle as part of their job. So, we can't do it. So Harry's been doing them. I mean, I did a few. I really don't want to be doing them. So again, this will be something that our paid staff will be doing. And these, I mean, when they're folded, they're like 3 inches, so they store easy. You throw a bunch of them in the back of the car. They'll be out there. Okay? I don't think you'll miss that. Okay?
Unless you're more late.
But you might miss that, It's like, so that's it. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Get your message to your wife. Now you got chores to do.
Yeah. I just mentioned it, like, oh yeah, it's an ending dog. Okay.
I'm amazed you put books in the winter, they don't get messed up from the slush and everything else. It must be cool. I love it.
He says, do for